crochet bauble ornaments, you'll need a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, and any type of worsted or medium weight 4 yarn. The one that I'm using in this video is called Big Twist in the color Tweed. And you need a little bauble ornament for the fabric to wrap around. This is just a plastic one that I picked up at the dollar store. So the first thing we're going to do is take our 5mm crochet hook and our yarn, and we're going to create a slip knot. If you're completely new to crochet and this technique is unfamiliar to you, I have a really quick Learn to Crochet series linked below that you can check out. Once we've got our yarn on our hook, we're going to chain 15 stitches. All right, now we're going to be working into the back hump of the chain that we just made. So all of these little ridges on the back. We're going to skip the first chain and work into the back hump of the second chain and single crochet. And so keep single crocheting in the back hump of each chain across. You will end up with 14 stitches. Once you've finished working into all of your chains, you should have 14 stitches. You can count your stitches by looking at the little V's at the top right here. Each V is a stitch, so that's 1, 2, 3, and so on, all the way to 14. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to chain 1, so yarn over and pull up a loop, and then turn your work. In the first stitch of the next row, we're going to single crochet, working through both loops of that stitch. And if you're very new to crochet, or if this is even your first project, something that might help you out is by taking a stitch marker and marking that first stitch, so that when we come back on the next row, we don't forget to work into that very final stitch, because sometimes those stitches at the end can get hard to see. In the next 12 stitches, we're going to be working into the back loop only of the stitch. So each stitch has the 2 loops, the front loop here that's closest to you, and the back loop here, which is the farthest one away from you. We're only going to be single crocheting through the back loops. Once you've single crocheted in the back loop of the next 12 stitches, you'll be left with 1 stitch left at the end, and we're going to single crochet through both loops of that last stitch. And again, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Single crochet through both loops of that first stitch. And again, if you're super new to crochet, just use a stitch marker to mark that very first stitch of the row. And then we're going to single crochet again in the back loop only of the next 12 stitches. When you get to the end of that row, we're going to single crochet through both loops of that final stitch, then chain 1 and turn. Keep repeating this pattern. Single crochet through both loops of the first stitch. If you're new, mark that first stitch, and single crochet in the back loop of the next 12 stitches and through both loops of the final stitch. And we're going to work this stitch pattern for 25 rows. Single crochet rows are pretty easy to see, especially these that are kind of ribbed. You can see that's 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows. So each little bump like this is 2 rows. Once you've completed your 25 rows, we're going to cut our yarn, and we're going to leave a bit of a tail. A tail just means this portion that's left over after you've cut your yarn, so maybe about 2 feet, because we're going to use that for seaming. To fasten off crochet, you're going to yarn over and just pull that tail all the way through and pull to tighten. You're then going to take a tapestry needle, which is just a needle with a dull tip, and you're going to thread your yarn through the tapestry needle. If you didn't know this trick, I like to fold my yarn over onto the needle and then pull it, and then you thread it through. So we're going to take our fabric and fold the ends together. So your starting tail and your ending tail will be on the same side. And we're going to use what's called a whip stitch to seam these edges closed. A whip stitch, we're just going to go through the first stitch of each side and just pull that yarn through. Then we're going to go over, and we're just going to go through the second stitch of each side and pull it through. Then we're going to go through the third stitch of each side and so on all the way down until those edges are seamed. Okay, work through those last two stitches on both sides. And now what we're going to do is close this bottom using the same thread we have. We're just going to weave in and out through the bottom of each row like this. Okay, and then this is the fun part. Just pull to tighten and close the bottom of the ornament. And then you might want to make a little knot just to make sure that it's secure. You can then just tuck this end inside of here and snip the yarn, because we're not going to see the end since it'll be on the inside of the ornament. You're then going to take your ornament and stuff it inside our fabric like this. Take that other end, the tail end that we started with, and thread that through a tapestry needle. And then do the same at the top. Weave in and out through the bottom of the rows to tighten at the top. Pull tightly to close. And then I'm going to make another little knot right here to secure. And you can just tuck that yarn inside of the ornament as well. Fasten off. And that's all.